And what we're going to look at now is a little introduction into solving trig equations. This is going to help the second half of this chapter go much better if we can figure out how to write equations. So let's take a look at the answers. If this was the unit circle and I saw an answer right there, okay, not only is there an answer there, but if I swing around again and stop in that place, there is another answer because it swings round and round. Okay, it's periodic. So we're going to write an equation. So the first positive answer, you don't swing negatively. The first positive one is pi over 4. And then you say plus or minus. How far do I have to go to get back there? Well, that's one full circle. So that's 2 pi, and then you have to say n. Just like when we wrote the zeros and asymptotes for the graphing chapter, because you can swing 2 times around and stop there and be at an answer. All right, let's do it again. I see an answer right here. So the equation is pi over 2 plus or minus. How far do you have to swing around and stop there? 2 pi n. Okay, they can get a little more fun. Number 3 is showing you some answers that are equidistant. Okay, so we can write these together. It's still going to be one equation. So we're going to start at pi over 2. And how far would you have to go to stop and find another answer? And then can you go that far again and stop? And can you keep going? Positive or negative, plus or minus, pi n. So here are some examples where maybe you only go halfway around the circle. Halfway around the circle. All right, let's do it again. I see some answers, and they're halfway around the circle. So we start with the first positive one, 0 or the first positive one. So we've got pi over 4 plus or minus. How far would I have to go and stop? Since that's halfway across the circle, that's pi n. Okay. Now things are going to get a little trickier. Let's go take a look here at number 5. I see a couple of answers. If I were to start with this answer, and I would go just a little bit more, so from pi over 3 to 2 pi over 3, that's just 1 pi out of 3. But if I go again pi over 3, there's no answer there. So I can't keep going pi over 3 and finding more answers. We're going to have to write these as 2 separate equations. So let's just look at this first answer, cover up the other one. X equals pi over 3. And let's swing around and get back to him. Plus or minus a full circle, 2 pi n. And now we're going to go ahead and write this answer totally by himself. So x equals 2 pi over 3. And how far could you go to stop and get back at an answer? A full circle, 2 pi n. So sometimes you're going to get 2 equations for your answer. All right, taking a look at number 6, I see 4 answers. There's 4 angles. How many equations do you think we can make? You always want to try to make as few equations as possible. Can you make 2? Or can you put them all together into one even? Are they equidistant? I believe they are. So let's start with the first 0. X equals 0. The first angle is right there, 0, plus or minus. What's the space? How far do you have to go to get to the next one? That's a distance of pi over 2. And then that's a distance of pi over 2. Stop. There's an answer. Go another pi over 2. So it's plus or minus pi over 2 n. Okay? So this is always the first 0 or positive one. Positive angle. And then this is how far to the next one. How far to the next one? Okay, let's do a couple more. I'm looking at number 7 here. Okay, and I'm trying to figure out if those are equidistant, if we can combine them, or if I'm going to need two separate equations. And I think we're going to have to do two equations. Let's write the first one all by itself. X equals pi over 4 plus or minus 2 pi. Okay, and now let's look at this next one right here. X equals 7 pi over 4 plus or minus 2 pi n. Okay, so when they're equidistant, you can go ahead and combine them, but when they're not, if I go every pi over 4, I'm not going to find answers. So we'll have to separate them. How about number 8? Do you think we can go ahead and combine those? I think we can. I think we can make one equation with all this. So where is the very first answer? Pi over 4. There's the first one, plus or minus. Is it another 1 out of 4? No. From here to here, that's like 90 degrees, or pi over 2. Pi over 2n. Having one equation is going to make this next half of the chapter easier when you're trying to solve and make a table of values, because you only have to do one table. So try to get it down to 1 if you can. All right, let's take a look at number 9. We are going to put a couple of these together, but not all of them. Because first it's pi over 6, and then it's a huge chunk. Then it's a little chunk. So I think what we're going to do is put these two right here together. So let's put the ones that are halfway across the circle together. X equals pi over 6 plus or minus pi n. And now let's put these other ones together here. Okay, so between 5 and 11, which one comes first? 5, so x equals 5 pi over 6 plus or minus pi n. Okay, and for number 10, how many equations are we going to need for that one? Yes, we're going to need 3 equations because none of them are related. 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, but then there's not 1 at 3. So those aren't halfway across. These aren't either. So let's start with pi over 3. Pi over 3 all by himself, plus or minus 2 pi n. Then we'll do 1 at 2 pi over 3, plus or minus 2 pi n. And finally, 3 pi over 2, plus or minus 2 pi n. Now, I do have to go back and tell you guys that there is a way of combining some of these. So let's go look at number 7. Now, half of the chapter, we're going to make tables and charts, and you need to do that with your 2 separate equations. But sometimes, if it just says make the equation and you get to stop, we can combine these. Okay? But doing this when it's time for a chart is going to be really ugly. So let's just go ahead and look at this real quick. If we started by going up pi over 4 or by going down. If we start by going up or down a distance of pi over 4, and then after you go up, you swing around, or if you choose to go down, then you would swing around a full circle, 2 pi n. So this is how you can combine them. If you start by going up or down, and then swinging around a full circle. But this is not a great idea for charts. This is going to be, if it says write your answer in general, you can combine it. If it says make charts and find a table of values, then we're going to have to go with these 2 because this just gets way too confusing. We can also do that with number 9. If you combine these, if you start by going up or down a distance of pi over 6, so we'll say plus or minus. After you go up or down pi over 6, then you would have to travel a distance of pi n. So this would be a great answer if it said in general. but a lot of times we're going to be making tables. So I would like for you to turn the page and try the next couple little intro to equations and make some equations there.